Ever felt like your progress has been frozen, and no matter how much effort you put in, you're stuck in the same point, just like these peas? That was me before I quit. These three things that really got my fat loss moving as a man who traveled often for work. Let me just put these back in the freezer. If you travel for work a lot, getting lean, dropping body fat isn't always about doing more and working harder. It's about quitting or stopping doing things that are maybe holding you back or aren't getting you the result that you want. And I'm going to go through these three things today that I quit that really got my progress moving in the direction on multiple occasions when I was away traveling with work. The first one was worrying about what other people thought. So in social situations especially, this is a big one, right? And if we make a decision that maybe isn't how we would usually act, or isn't how the people you are with would act. For example, saying no to going out for dinner, or saying no to a takeaway, or going out for drinks, or ordering something healthier in a restaurant. And often it's that element of judgment from people around you that really doesn't feel good and deters a lot of people from actually making that positive decision in the first place. And what you have to realize is, and what you have to understand, and especially in a gym environment, right? Or in a restaurant, or out with your friends, other people don't care. In the gym, you think people are looking at you, but they're really looking at themselves. In the restaurant, you think people around you, the people you're there with, think you're weird for ordering that. And even if they do, it might be for a fraction of a second, and then they forgot, and you get on with your meal or your day or your gym session, wherever you are. And the people that do care, the people that take issue or have an issue with what you're doing or the decisions you're making, usually they're the ones that are unhappy, would never make that positive decision, don't want to put themselves through any hard work, and they want to keep you on their level. And so actually those people shouldn't take away from the positive impact that you're trying to have on your life. And as I said, it's happened for me on multiple occasions. I've been working away in France many times, and Cyprus and Turkey, and those social situations in which you go out for dinner mainly was the one that I found myself in a lot, because it was a very sociable job. And ordering something healthy, or opting not to drink, or saying no because you'd already made some food at home because that was what I wanted to do because I know I could track it better, and then whilst I was out, I would just have, some drinks and be there for the social aspect. Like, once I told myself that it doesn't matter what other people think, even if they're thinking something negative or positive, like, it doesn't matter. I'm there for the people, the social, interaction. And that's when everything changed. And that's when I started to make more positive decisions, more results generating decisions that would get me to my goal quicker. So in terms of worrying about what other people think, I would just urge you to have confidence in your decisions instead of seeking that approval from other people. I know it may be hard, especially if these are really good friends or even strangers. Some people let opinions of different people affect them in a different way. But you need to get confident in the decisions that you make. Number 2 is alcohol. And this is the big one, and in the line of work that a lot of men I work with who, are often traveling for work, and it's very easy to just have a drink in the hotel in the evening or in the airport, or, go out and socialize with some colleagues or clients and have, 1 or 2 alcoholic drinks. Or in the hotel restaurant in the evening. It's very easily done. And actually, in the moment, it may feel harmless, or you might tell yourself it's harmless, but the calories add up. But also, alcohol has knock-on effects to our sleep, which then might make our cravings more the following day, which then might make us more likely to eat something that isn't conducive with our goal and makes us fall off our meal structure. and then everything goes out the window, and it has a ripple effect. When I was working in France, and I went through a 10 kg cut, and I basically cut out alcohol, right? And I would go out and socialize as much as I could and as much as I felt comfortable with colleagues without alcohol. But obviously there was certain times where I was like, right, I'm done now, because other people were taking it further than I wanted to, right? And there was one night where I decided, there were some friends that had come out to see me, and I was gonna have some drinks. And I decided I would stick to soda, vodka, lime. And that night got out of hand, and I was, 3/4 of a way through a cutting phase, a fat loss phase, and it did get out of hand. And the next day I was in a bad way, let's say that, and I regretted it, and I felt horrible. I ended up eating some crap, and I just felt like I'd taken a massive back step, not only with my progress, but with the mental state I was in, and how confident I was in, and how the process was going. Realistically, how much effect did it have on my fat loss journey? Maybe not a lot, but it really took a while for me to bounce back from that. And I just felt crap about myself, about the discipline that I then hadn't had, because I let myself take it too far. I had stuck to the drinks that were lower calorie, but again, I just took it way too far. But it is a balancing act, right? And you can still go out and have a few drinks whilst you're losing body fat, and you can have a few sociable drinks. However, if it's a regular occurrence, then something really needs to change, because you'll be making the diet a lot harder for yourself than it needs to be. And you don't need to quit. You don't need to quit full stop, but you just need to think this is a temporary process, remember. And actually, you looking at the bigger picture, when you get to your goal, you can then have a bit more flexibility. But in general, for the process that you're going on, and being unable to track things a lot of the time with your situation, we want to make it as simple as we can. And by cutting it out as much as we can, that's going to make this process easier for you. And if you're going to have a few drinks, decide on a non-negotiable number of drinks that you're going to have that night. Tell other people, hold yourself accountable, and do what you can to keep yourself on track. And number 3, using travel as an excuse. The biggest shift that happened to me was accepting my lifestyle was going to make things harder to drop body fat and get in shape and have the physique that I wanted. And I was choosing to work in that industry. I was choosing to do that line of work. And so if I wanted this goal, this result, physique, I had to just work with what I could and do the best I could. And not using that as a reason not to do it, not using that as a reason, as an excuse that I couldn't do it, was just the game changer within my mindset that I needed. And telling yourself that you'll start when you get home is a dangerous sentence, because that can happen over and over and over and over again. And really, you'll never make the progress that you want if you keep telling yourself that. And more recently, my client Ahmad, who travels loads, he's always on a plane every week basically, and he really struggled with that time away early on in the program. And previously, he would use that time, he would use his job as a reason why he couldn't make progress. But he was determined to take back control, and that's when he joined the program. And actually, by putting a meal structure in place that he follows whilst he's at home, and therefore he has an understanding of how many meals he needs and roughly what size they need to be, and of what kinds of foods whilst he's away, that he's now found a structure that works for him after a bit of trial and error, but he can now see the ability to make progress. And so he's stopped telling himself that that is the reason why he cannot make progress. And he's using that as fuel to make the progress that he always wanted to make. So you can either use travel and your lifestyle, your job as a reason or an excuse. You can't use it as both. So you need to pick one, double down on it, and I'm hoping after watching this video, it's going to be you're using it as a reason. So what you have to look at, and the way I look at it now, and I try and help my clients look at it, is progress doesn't stop when you travel. It's just going to look a bit different, okay? And the process is going to look a bit different. But we can still move forward towards our goal. So before your next trip, what I want you to do, and what I'd recommend doing, is planning a meal structure and try it at home before you go. And then also have an idea of some anchor meals, foods within the meal that are simple, that you know, whether you're at a restaurant or a buffet or at home, you can have something very similar. Plan one of them so you've got that meal in place that you can go to if you're in doubt at any point. And have one movement habit that you do daily, whether that's a certain number of steps, whether that's a gym session, whether that's just getting out and going for a little walk in the morning. Something like that that you can tick off daily, that's going to help you continue progress. And by doing, it's basically you telling yourself that this is no longer an excuse and I'm able to do this. So just to recap very quickly, the big one for me at the start is not worrying what other people think. And as soon as I stopped people pleasing, as soon as I started pleasing myself, doing what I wanted to do and not worrying about how it was affecting others or what they thought of me, because likelihood is all these people that were worrying about the decisions I was making, they're never going to make that decision themselves. They're never going to want to better themselves, or they haven't got it in them. And I was determined to, and so can you, so are all my clients. So tell me in the comments, let me know which one out of these three you need to quit first that you think would move the needle the most. And don't forget to hit subscribe, like this video, and stay tuned for lots more to come in my pursuit to help all men who travel for work achieve their fat loss goals and build a physique they are confident with.